Kaya natin yan. Kaya natin yan. Kung nais umasenso, manap ng trabaho, o di kaya'y subukang magnegosyo. Lumikha ng produkto't sikaping lumago, inspirasyon mong pagkapiko. Katuwang ng gobyerno sa iyong tagumpay, iisa ang ating hangarin. Pag may abilidad at oportunidad, tiyak na ang lahat ay uunlad. Trabaho, negosyo, kabuhayan, kaya natin yan. Walang iwanan. Go lang ng go mga kaibigan. Trabaho, negosyo, kabuhayan, kaya natin yan. Sulong Pilipinas! Go, 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 kababayan! Kaya natin yan. Kaya natin yan. Kayaw magtipid sa iyong mga pangarap, sige-sige sa pagsisikap. Asenso'y sigurado sa hinaharap, manalig lang palagi sa sarili. Trabaho, negosyo, kabuhayan, kaya natin yan. Walang iwanan. Go lang ng go mga kaibigan. Trabaho, negosyo, kabuhayan, kaya natin yan. Sulong Pilipinas! Go, 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 kababayan! Kaya natin yan. Kaya natin yan.
I love that song. I love it. I love it. I love it because it truly speaks to what these webinars are about. It touches on hope, encouragement, persistence, and resourcefulness. Hello, everyone. You're about to take part in an exciting segment of a series of webinars on Philippine agribusiness produced by Philippine Trade and Investment Centers located across the United States. The centers are located in Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., San Francisco, and New York, and they have teamed up to bring exciting and compelling news and information regarding Philippine agribusiness. Now, these webinars were produced under the Philippine Department of Trade and Investment Initiatives called TNK, and TNK stands for Trabajo, Negosyo, and Kabuhayan. And for those who are non-Tagalog speaking viewers, that means basically Trabajo means jobs, Negosyo means business, and Kabuhayan means livelihood. Now, the title of this event is Learn How to Finance and Train for Your Agribusiness. My name is Ferdinand Soriano, Planet 63, your moderator and a strong proponent of the amazing potential of the Philippine agribusiness industry in the United States. Now, name any business or industry that you have that has challenges, right? And I'm almost sure that financing is top of that list. Today, you will learn how to develop an agribusiness as well as discover ways to acquire financing for an agribusiness in the Philippines. Now, today you will see and hear from an existing agriculture business that continues to thrive and is determined to succeed. He wants to share with all of you what he has been doing and encourage other people to do the same. Now, after that, you will hear two speakers that will focus on how the Philippine government is truly committed in expanding its aid and helping uplift the Philippine agribusiness, as well as provide vital information on how the audience can invest, buy, and create opportunities for themselves in the world of Philippine agribusiness. Now, after all of the four speakers have spoken, we will open up the event for audience participation. We welcome your comments at the question and answer section of our event, but we truly would like for you to go ahead and make comments in whatever social media platform that you're using, or if you're currently on Zoom, go ahead and make those comments before the question and answer section, okay? Now, please don't be shy. We really want your feedback. Now, without further ado, let us introduce the first of the four speakers of our program. And to deliver the keynote, I'd like to introduce now, well, he is the current assistant secretary that took over the helm of the Foreign Trade Service Corp of the Department of Trade and Industry earlier this month. Prior to this, he spent the last 20 years in various foreign postings in New York and San Francisco, USA, South Korea, Kuwait, and Taiwan. And before joining the government, our keynote speaker counts several years of solid experience in accounting, banking, and finance. Without further ado, please welcome the Assistant Secretary Nicanor Bautista.
Thank you, Freddie, and good evening, good afternoon, and good everyone. Cheers from rainy and humid Manila. I wish to thank the DTI team in the US and all our partners, including the Department of Agriculture, for organizing this webinar on agricultural entrepreneurship. Agripreneurship, in large part, directly responds to the basic need for food, a need so fundamental to human existence that it transcends culture creeds. But food is not only universal, it is also recession-proof. As it is elsewhere, food production generates employment and promotes economic development, even during times of crisis. In the Philippines, especially in the countryside where most of the country's agricultural activities take place, food production contributes to our government's work of eradicating poverty, uplifting living standards, and promoting peace. This work takes on a more significant and urgent role today as the pandemic continues to wreak havoc in our country, disrupting food value chains globally and severely impacting our aspirations of ensuring food security for 108 million Filipinos. Domestic production of our basic food requirement is not only profitable, it is and should be our national lifeline during this time, especially this time, when traditional overseas sources are themselves impacted by a global pandemic of the kind that we are experiencing today. Going local does not only refer to buying local, it presupposes and presumes producing locally. Domestic production of our most basic food requirements insulates us from the vagaries of a global climate that has become not only unpredictable, but also hostile. Agripreneurship opportunities in the Philippines should be seen, therefore, in the context of a ready market for produced and processed foods for over 100 million Filipinos. Just imagine targeting just 100% of that market, which is roughly 1/10 of 1%. Imagine selling a product for just 10 pesos to each of these 100,000 Filipinos once a month for a year. And that translates to roughly 12 million in gross income yearly. At today's US dollar peso exchange rate, that's around 240,000 gross per year. That should beat by a mile the speculative appreciation in the value of your most recent real estate acquisition. And then, of course, there's the psychic bonus of generating employment, as well as the fulfillment of jumpstarting pockets of economic activities in the community where you choose to locate your agri-enterprise. Simplistic, maybe, but certainly true. I will close by inviting you to reach out to any of our DTI and/or DA officers in the United States if you have questions on how or where. I'm more than glad to assist you. Thank you again, and mabuhay. You're on mute, Ferdy. I think you're on mute.
There, can you hear me now?
Yes, loud and
There
clear.
you go. Assistant Bautista, Secretary Bautista, a lot of the things that you said were amazing only, but at the same time, I know that there's a lot more that you can expand. There's so many things that in this seminar and this webinar that we're about to do that people will be surprised, and what a small amount of money or effort can benefit from. I mean, that can be had, and we need to really bring that home in this webinar. So let me go ahead and introduce the next speaker. Thank you so much for that, for the keynote, Assistant Secretary Bautista. So let me go ahead and present, or the next presenter, basically what he's going to do, he's going to present what's possible in the Philippines, and not just theory or nothing like that. He's going to actually tell you what he's been doing, how he's been thriving, and how he's been successful. And he wants to basically share that all to, with all of the people that are watching, because at the end of the day, we need proof that these things are happening, and he can do that. So let me go ahead and give a little bit of background on our next speaker. He started his career as a computer system support and programmer in various software companies in the California internet boom in the mid 1990s. And in 2000, he founded a company called Care Advantage. And as a CEO, he ventured into recruiting nurses from the Philippines for hospital staffing, and eventually becoming a consultant in the medical billing and outsourcing industry. Today, he is farming a 14-hectare moringa plantation in Ilocos Norte, started to introduce FDA-approved 500 milligram moringa capsule during this pandemic. And his aim is to reach and develop more products aimed at improving overall health while improving environmental carbon footprint. So please listen carefully to what this next speaker has to say, because it all boils down to it can be done. So please welcome Jonathan Nolora of Aiden Moringa.
Unmute. There you go. Let me just. Bear with me for a second here. Play from start. Okay.
I like the effects on the background, Jonathan.
Thank you.
It's just you, man.
Yeah. I forgot. I have to share my screen first, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Share screen. PowerPoint. Share.
Great. Good job. Good job.
Is that working now?
Yes.
Okay. Play from start. Sorry, guys. Okay. Well. All right. Can you see that?
Yes.
All right. Good morning from Ilocos Norte. Magandang hapon po sa California or in the West Coast. Good evening in East Coast. I miss being in the United States. I was there for 20 plus years. So I'm blessed to be able to present what I've been doing, how I got rooted in Ilocos Norte because of what I'm doing, and I hope to be able to bear fruits in what I'm doing at sana masarap, di ba? Anyway, so thank you, Ferdinand, Nick, and Eric for the invite. Very nice information I have, and I'd love to share this, and I need help. And I'm sure a lot of I'm also speaking in behalf of other farmers who also wants to farm and do the business in agriculture. But first, I'd like to thank my sponsor, which is also me. It's just 30 seconds.
Daily dosages of antioxidants, anti-inflammatories, vitamins, and minerals will help fight COVID-19. Malunggay, sourced from Ilocos Norte, encapsulated in vegetable gelatins, is one of the best dietary supplements to boost our immune systems. According to the U.S. National Institute of Health study, at least 2,000 milligrams of antioxidant dietary supplements is required by an average working person. Take 2 capsules in the morning and 2 capsules in the evening of Aiden Moringa.
All right.
Daily.
Oops. Thank you. Okay, so Aiden Moringa, of course, we're an FDA licensed company. We're importing and exporting. We have a 500 milligram, which was certified only this year, but they are available now in most of Ilocos Norte pharmacies. They're also sold in Taiwan. We also do other, products such as Moringa coffee. I try to extract seed oil for skincare because antioxidants are really good in your skin. Other than that, of course, I'm working on my malunggay noodles and different kinds of packaging I can do with Moringa. So, of course, this is a 2-hour. I usually present this one for 2 hours, but I'm going to do it for 15 minutes for the sake of really the main topic is how to finance this business. but at least this should give you an idea of what you're trying to uh, finance for, or what kind of business is trending. And of course, I have to say, this is herbal supplements. There's no approved therapeutic claims in my packaging, and this is not a medical advice, right? But I have information uh, uh, from the Harvard education where they say antioxidants is a general term for any compound that can counteract unstable molecules called free radicals that damage DNA, okay, cell membranes and other parts of the cell. We get this from, excessive smoking, too much work, stress, you get some cellular damages. And so we get sick and we age. And so that's why we needed antioxidants. Antioxidants, the way to measure antioxidants was uh, analyzed by the United States National Institute of Health. They call it the ORAC method, which was devised in 1990, and they were able to find out how much antioxidant levels there are per 100 grams of each of these vegetables, fruits and vegetables. And they came up with analyzing the atomic level, the molecular structure of every fruit and vegetable. Just move this one here. And they found out that moringa, malunggay, has 157,600 ORAC value. So in essence, it's more than your average fruit and vegetables, like even matcha tea, your acai fruit, your avocado, which only has 1,900 value, your average fruits and vegetables. So it's amazing they started calling it the superfood just because it has so much of this nutrition. The US also, National Institute of Health had an article where they found out that it is a potential oral anti-cancer drug candidate just because of its nutritional value. It's there. I try to research this before farming it, and I believe so that it does have a potential. So I love it. In fact, here's another article from the National Institute of Health where they say it is potentially therapeutic and preventive against COVID-19. Of course, it's just potential. They can use that word. But for me, I would just want to be healthy. I'd love to be able to feed myself with a lot of this because it is potentially. So therefore, they found out that, yeah, oh, wow, moringa malunggay has 3 times the potassium of your average banana. It has 25 more iron than your average spinach. So if you're anemic or something like that, you want to have malunggay to address your symptoms in low blood levels or high blood pressure. It has more vitamin A than your calcium. All these things that they found out when they tried to measure, okay, the ORAC value of malunggay. Antioxidants, antioxidants, your vitamins and minerals, A, B, C, D, all of this is your antioxidants. Malunggay farming in Ilocos Norte, just specifically, I've chosen Ilocos Norte to farm malunggay just because primarily here, and this is not to say you cannot farm it elsewhere, but basically, if you have access to pili nuts, if you have access to cassava, you want to maximize on that. I think this topic is all about getting finance and being able to explore what you have in your farm. But for me, Ilocos Norte, just because, first of all, there's a lot of malunggay already in Ilocos Norte. They're aged 10, 15, 20 years old, which you could extract the oil from, because when you're starting your farm, you won't have the seeds, and to be able to extract the seed oil from malunggay, you have to harvest this from 10 age trees there of malunggay. Anyway, so I'm just showing here that I'm trying to hide from the Pacific typhoons, right? Because we get 20 of them a year. So I wanted to protect my farm. I have to do it where it's not flooding. And, that's why I was trying to hide from the Cordillera Mountains. Also in Ilocos Norte, of course, well, not this is not just for Ilocos Norte, but they passed the bill or something like that with the SBN 1400 last year, enabling 100 million peso access from the national treasury. So I think this is what they're saying here is uh, such funds as may be necessary for the continued implementation of this act shall be included in the annual. So annually, there's 100 million peso funds for what? Export promotion, development, planning, research and development of malunggay specifically. And I think they're wanted to do this with other, superfood or essential foods that we have as well. But to give you an idea, because you need to know some of the numbers, and of course you can leave your comment, type your name and address. You can contact me, and I'll give you, the whole 2-yard presentation of this one. But I did my own kind of research and found out that this is maybe pretty much the average numbers that I could come up with. But like for instance, in Ilocos Norte, when you're buying land, it's about 60 to 100 per square meter. Then of course that depends if you're near the irrigation or if you're near the road, which is accessible to your trucking, or if you're way out far, maybe you're way out in the mountain, then your land will probably be just 20, 30 pesos per square meter. Good news is moringa can thrive anywhere. It's just a matter of if you want to be harvesting on a regular consistency, then you want to have access to water, and all those kind of things that you need. I used 10 farmers when I was starting. Over here, 350 to 500 pesos per day. And if you use 10, you spend about $2,000 a month. Plus, of course, when I started, you have to buy cuttings from the neighborhood. And, this is extra income for them when you buy at least 5 peso of a branch, a meter long. And in 1 hectare, I do about 4,000 trees per hectare just because I needed room in between. But you can double this up. Of course, you can do 8,000 trees per cutting, and it could be more harvest. Just depends how much space you have. I happen to have 14 hectares, so I want to start a little spread out than congregate too close to each other. And then, of course, you have other expenses such as your clearing. You want to fence around your farm. Eventually, you want to get your farm inspected for organic certification. So you want to make your farm beautiful. And I figured at an average per hectare, you'd probably be looking for $50,000 per hectare if you're buying or if you're owning the land. But if you have a partner or if you own the land, good. Owning it is simply because you have access to like loans and grants from land bank and stuff like that because you have a property, so they will support you with your farm. These days, the average per kilo of fresh leaves, right, when you harvest, it's just 10 peso per kilo. If you have 4,000 per hectare, then that's 40,000 pesos per harvest. And again, if you're close to irrigation, if you water regularly, you can harvest 3 to 4 times a year. And in my case, I can do 3 times a year. So my 40,000 is actually 120,000 a year just on selling my fresh to someone in Manila who wants to sell the powder or who wants to process them, something like that. So, and of course, locally, this is the price, right? But if you can dry it yourself and sell it a little bit, packaged this way, you can sell your malunggay at 200 pesos a kilo. That's the average per kilo wholesale of malunggay right now. And the way to do this is you go to Lazada or Shopee or something like that, and you look for malunggay powder, and you will find that the average per kilo of malunggay is about 300, 400 when they retail this, right? Online. That's cheap, 300, 400 kilo. But as a farm owner, you can sell your dried moringa for 200 pesos a kilo. Of course, 4 times when you export. So especially if you live long enough in the United States or in Europe and you come home, you have land, you farm, someone in the US, in Saudi or wherever who probably needs malunggay, you can export. And it's 4 times more. Basically, a lot of times you just try to get your organic certification, because these are the basic requirements when you're exporting. It is, if you're harvesting 3 times a year, it's a 480,000 peso annual income for you. That's 1.44 million income for you every season. About $28,000 a year just exporting per hectare with 4,000 trees, right? So think about it. Seed oil, you may not be able to get this from your farm, but if you know people in your area who have the seeds and you can harvest their seeds, it's 300 to 300 pesos a kilo of the seeds. And a liter of the seed oil, because you're buying it and then you're extracting it, is about 8,000 pesos per liter on the seed oil. So big money, big money. Capsules SRP in the Philippines, right? Just the average per capsule, they package this in 100, 30, 60, but the average per capsule is 5 peso. That's only 500 milligrams like I do. So a gram technically is 10 peso a gram. So if you're doing 4,000 kilos per hectare per harvest, and you just do a little bit of math, you're turning all your 1 hectare into powder, into capsule. That's a 6 million peso industry for you, 18 million per year. Okay, so it's a lot of money. Of course, if you can sell them all of it per hectare, and you're just looking for someone who'd be able to use your farm as exclusive source of their capsules. Like if you meet someone, if you know someone in the herbal industry like GNC, and they contract you exclusively, you're looking at this amount. All right, so there's more about, I can, again, if you need to know more about Moringa, I have so much information. They're doing a lot of products right now. It's not too late. It's just really firing up. I like the idea of having an energy bar, because energy bar is so good right now with the sports and staying in healthy, because you're getting weaker. Energy bar, we can do that. So with that, I want to thank you for the opportunity. I will encourage you all to stay tuned and find out how you can get finance, get the consulting that you need from DTI. Like their page, comment, someone will reach out to you. And of course, I'm here to help all the time, because I can't do this by myself. So thank you so much, Mr. Ferdinand, Nick, and Eric.
Jonathan, I know that a lot of the information that you gave was very insightful and probably enticing to a lot of people. And the one thing that they have to realize is that the point of your attendance is just to show that it's being done. It can be done, and hopefully people will do it. And
right.
and it's our job to try to make it easy, and it's more as sort of a way to be able to entice people to consider investing in the Philippines in this manner. Okay, now thank you so much for that, and for all those interested in the numbers that Jonathan gave, he'd be more than willing to send out the PowerPoint on that. So if you missed that, you can replay the video again, or you can go ahead and ask Jonathan for that actual PowerPoint that he did. But before we go on to the next speaker, and again, thank you, Jonathan, I would like to acknowledge the presence of Conjen Edgar Badajos and DCG Ambo Enciso of PCG LA, and Conjen Patrick Hilado of PCG Agana Guam. And I'd like to thank you for your presence and supporting this event. But also, really quick, I'd just like to acknowledge some of the members and officers of COFAC. It's a Philam chamber in California. I'd like to acknowledge Jerry Palon, Femi Cupid, and also Ellen Sampson. There are more VIPs in the room. I'm trying to get my hands on the list of who's there, but thank you for attending. Now, I would like to go ahead and introduce the next speaker. She is here to talk about what the Philippine government is doing to empower as well as uplift the Philippine agribusiness. Let me go ahead and give you a little bit of background on who she is. She is the group head of the program monitoring and evaluation unit at the Small Business Corporation. She has over 30 years experience in credit, account management, relationship management, remedial management, branch operations, sales, and marketing. Obviously, she's done a lot of managing, so she knows her stuff. She managed, developed, and implemented specialized lending MSME credit parameters, consumer credit programs for sales channels and clients. For all those who attended this event, now you know what's possible. Let's figure out how to get to that point. And this next speaker will help us do that. Please welcome Linda Orsos.
Good morning from the Philippines. Magandang umaga, and sa ating mga kababayan, magandang hapon or magandang gabi. Yeah, this is Lynn Orsos from the Small Business Corporation. We are an attached agency of the Department of Trade and Industry, and we are mandated to provide financing facilities to our entrepreneurs. Let me say something about the HEROES program. This HEROES program was conceptualized, or this was introduced last year at the time that our OFWs were being repatriated. So this is being offered specifically to our OFWs for them to start a business, because we want to encourage them as pag-uwi nila dito sa Pilipinas, they should be able to really have their own means of livelihood. That's why HEROES program was introduced. So next slide, please. Okay, what is HEROES program? This is a program by the national government. As earlier mentioned, its purpose is really to assist our repatriated OFWs to really have a simple and yet sustainable business. Next, please. Okay, since this is a loan program, there are new features na hindi natin makikita sa ibang mga programa that SB Corp is offering. So we call our OFWs as our kaheroes because we want them to really, we acknowledge their contribution to our economy. Sila ang ating bagong bayani. That's why this program talaga ginawa namin for them to be able to feel na talagang we truly acknowledge them. So the loan amount would range from 30,000 to 100,000. And considering that this is a startup program, we are giving a grace period up to 12 months. So once you're able to secure a loan or a financing, you have the option to avail of a grace period up to 12 months. Though this is a loan, kahit po siya loan, we will not be charging any interest. So this is interest-free, and we will not be requiring any collateral. So sa ating mga kaheroes, mga OFWs, this is one of the very, very few facilities of SB Corp na ganito po yung kanyang nilalaman. Actually, this is the only program that we have in the agency na wala pong interest rate. Lahat po ng programa natin, we offer minimal interest rate. But for this HEROES, wala po siya. And later, I will be showing you kung ano lang po yung fee that this program charges. Okay, next slide, please. Next, please. Okay, who can avail of this program? So this is being offered to our repatriated and returning OFWs. Actually, this was the first intention of the program dun sa mga repatriated lang. But we noticed that there are a number of OFWs who were already here when the pandemic happened. So hindi either nandito sila prior to pandemic because nag-spend ng Christmas or ng holidays with their family, or natapos yung kontrata and they need to renew it. So we also would like to assist them by offering them this program for those na hindi na nakabalik. OFW po sila but they were not able to return to their work, or hindi na sila kuha ng new contract because of the pandemic. So this can be availed by our OFWs with the purpose of starting a new business. Okay, next please. Okay, as earlier mentioned, we don't charge any interest rate. But once pong na-approve yung loan, we will be charging a service fee which is very minimal, and this is one time. So this will be deducted from your loan proceeds, and ito po yung mga corresponding fees. For a term of 6 to 12 months, we will be charging 4%, 18 to 24 months, 6%, and 30 to 36 months, 7.5%. So you don't have to to spend anything from your own pocket because this will be part of the loan proceeds na deducted na po siya from the loan proceeds na ibibigay ng SB sa inyo. Other than this, wala na po kayong ibang sasagutin na mga expenses from availing this program. Next, please. So, ano yung ating term in availing this program? So, we offer this from a minimum of 6 months up to 36 months. So you can avail this program up to 3 years. But in terms of availing the grace period, please take note that the 12 months na grace period na pwede nyo ma-avail can only be availed also once the term of the loan is 24 months. So, ibig sabihin po, pag tinotal nyo yung repayment term na 24 months plus the 12 months na grace period, that would sum up to 36 months. So, napakalaking privilege that you would be able to have because you will be given long period of time to really operate at maging sustainable na po yung business ninyo before we will be requiring you to repay your obligation. So next, please. So how to apply for this program? We will be requesting you first to attend a one-day training which is being done by PTTC, our sister agency. This is a one-day free online training with PTTC. And the purpose of this is actually the Heroes program has two components. First, we empower you. We would like to empower you with a training because being an entrepreneur, I'm sure as an OFW, iba po yung ating mindset. So we want to empower you by being new entrepreneurs sa ating pong bansa. And with this one-day training, you'd be able to see lots of opportunities, lots of potentials, and your mind will be opened up kung paano talaga and kung talagang may passion po kayo in terms of doing a business. So this is a one-day training. May link po dyan. We're giving you the link as to how you will register in this training. And just to give you an information, next week we will have the next batch of trainees for PTTC. So if you want to join, actually kahit po kayo nasa abroad, you can join this training. And once you will be going home na po, you can avail of this program. Kasi one of the requirements of Heroes is dapat at the time you will be applying for the loan, andito po kayo sa Pilipinas na. Okay, next please. So after completing the training, so ang susunod is magsasabit na po kayo ng mga requirements for you to avail of this program. So sasabihin nyo, nako, pagdating sa document requirements, baka naman yan isang checklist, isang buong page ng isang papel ang listahan. But I'd like to emphasize that for this program, we would only be requiring these 3. Actually, yung pang-apat, yung training certificate number na yon, na proof na kayo pa umattend. Just a scanned copy of your passport. You have to upload it. Na I'm sure naman meron po kayo yan. And the video presentation, which you will be guided once you attend the training sa PTTC, how to prepare. Kasi mahilig naman na tayo yung mag-selfie-selfie. So the purpose of this is for us to see you online, and at the same time, we would like to see the business proposal of your proposed business through this AVP, and the business model canvas, which is also an output of your training with PTTC. That's it. Yun lang po yung requirements namin for you to access our Heroes program. Next, please. So once you're done with all these documents, you can now proceed to the link of Heroes program by accessing this link as being provided. So it's so kung ako yung titingin, is so convenient, and kumbaga very rare kaming magbigay po ng ganitong programa. So take advantage of these mga ka-heroes. And once you're able to access this, we will get in touch with you so that you'll be able to be updated on the status of your loan application. Next, please. So just to give you an idea, as to how many were able to access and avail of this program, well, this data was as of June 3, 2021, we were able to address the applications of more than 700 OFWs. And in terms of the spread of these OFWs, we have 108 from NCR, 428 from Luzon, 89 from Visayas, and 91 from Mindanao. And I'd like to highlight also that there are a number of businesses that are agri-related. So marami po tayong mga OFWs na nag-engage sa agri-related businesses. So we would like to emphasize that we are financing, we are really supporting yung pong mga ventures niyo pagdating sa mga agri-related. Like in Mindanao, meron sila mga sa seaweeds production. In Luzon, meron sila sa palay production, those that are into piggery, those that are into poultry. Meron pa rin pong, actually, with the presentation of Mr. Jonathan, baka meron pang gustong mag-venture into moringa. So we would be more than happy to assist them. So yun po, qualified po sila. Basta po any form of economic activities except, may except lang except those that are vice generating. We would be supporting all those startup businesses, even those that would like to engage in franchising. Kasi kung talagang wala pa po talaga silang ganong confidence to start their own business, others would acquire a simple franchise business po. And aside from PTTC, we are also partnering with Coca-Cola through its OFW Rise program, which was launched in December 2020. And right now also we are working with another trainer provider, yung group ni Dean Pax, yung Lead More Development. So we are really expanding this to more OFWs for them to have a startup business na talagang kung pwede lang, they can stay here na with a business na masisimulan po nila. Okay, next please. Okay, so ito na po yung this is our hotlines, and those who would like to get in touch with us, they can call us, and I will be flashing later in the chat box the email address of SB Corp, so you can access us and get in touch with us for more queries. And later sa Q&A, kung may mga concerns po kayo, feel free to ask. Thank you so much, and thank you, Sir Ferdy. Thank you.
Linda, again, so far we're consistent with the amount of information and the type of information and the way it's being presented. Great job. One thing that I wanted to tell everybody, it's a no-brainer. One thing that what I've observed is that with everything that's being promoted and being disseminated here, technology definitely plays a big part. A lot of people in the past have probably wanted to take advantage of programs like this, but didn't know how to do it. But now that with technology, with the internet, you can do a lot of this application online. You can learn about it online. You don't have to go to a class somewhere physically to do it. So that's why, to me, anybody who's watching this event right now, who's really interested in the Philippine agribusiness, it's almost like a no-brainer. So to me, if you're really interested in doing a lot of these things, it's all online, and you could take advantage of it and learn more about it. So, and also, I think Linda is more than happy to send out the PowerPoint also, I'm assuming, right, Linda?
Yes, yes.
Fantastic, fantastic. Also, just replay the video. Anyway, moving on. I'd like to continue and expand on what the Philippine government is doing for the Philippine agribusiness industry to grow and thrive. And our next speaker is also about financing. So as you can see, the theme of it is that in the beginning, Jonathan showed you what's possible and what's doable and what's sustainable. So now we continue with how do we get that? How do we get to that point where we're building something like this? And how do we make it simple and show that the Philippine government is truly, truly committed in uplifting that industry? So without further ado, let me go ahead and introduce the next speaker. She's an economics graduate from Ateneo de Naga University and has a degree in MA Economics from UP Diliman. She rose from the ranks, one of the pioneers of Agriculture Credit Policy Council, ACPC, since it was created in 1986. She was appointed Executive Director of ACPC in 2016. She was briefly seconded at the Senate of the Philippines as Executive Director of the Congressional Oversight Committee on Agriculture and Fishery from 2010 to 2013. She has more than 30 years of experience in rural development work, particularly on rural finance for small farmers and fisher folks, focusing on policy research and program development. Needless to say, she knows what she's going to be talking about, and she's probably going to be awesome, which all of you will definitely be impressed. So please welcome Dr. Jocelyn Alma Barriola.
Isang mapagpalang araw po sa inyong lahat, saan man kayo naroroon. By the way, I'm not a doctor. I'm Director Barriola. My son
That's what I
is
meant.
the doctor. My son is a newly minted doctor. Okay.
Typo.
First, let me thank the Philippine Trade and Investment Center in the Philippine Consulate in Los Angeles for giving me the opportunity to share with you the ACPC's agri-fishery credit programs for our small farmers and fisher folk and our agri-fishery-based micro and small enterprises. Next slide, please. The Department of Agriculture envisions a food-secure and resilient Philippines with empowered and prosperous farmers and fisher folk. One of the identified strategies is the provision of easy, affordable, and timely credit. This is where our agency, the Agricultural Credit Policy Council or ACPC, comes in. In order to help DA achieve its overarching goal, one of the functions of ACPC is to develop or design innovative financing programs that respond to the requirements of our farmers and fishers. We then partner with lending conduits such as government financial institutions and non-government financial institutions such as cooperative banks, rural banks, and cooperatives. The main task of our lending conduits is to evaluate and approve loan applications, disburse loans to eligible borrowers, and collect loan repayments. With that as a background, let me now present the Sure COVID-19 for Micro and Small Enterprises or MSEs. This program was developed in response to the difficulties brought by the pandemic in order to help agri-fishery-based MSEs recover from their losses, sustain their operations, and ensure the availability of food supply. MSEs can avail of loans for additional working capital. Borrowers may borrow up to 10 million pesos at zero interest and payable up to 5 years. However, we charge a one-time service fee of 3.5%. Okay, so what are the eligibility requirements for micro and small enterprises? They must be registered with a government registering institution such as the CDA or DOLE. They must be operational for at least a year, have proven management capacity to implement a project, and have readily available agri-fishery products from farmers and fisher folk. On the other hand, here are the application requirements for micro and small enterprises. I probably don't have to mention each item. You can see that from the slide. Okay. So now, next slide, please. Let me introduce to you one of our successful Sure COVID-19 borrowers, Mr. Arnulfo Magcope, the General Manager of Ibon Multipurpose Cooperative in Aklan. According to GM Magcope, mobility was the biggest challenge during the enhanced community quarantine. He added that farming and fishing activities slowed down and many opportunities were lost for the cooperative. Thus, he was able to borrow 10 million from ACPC as additional working capital and has successfully sustained their operations amid the pandemic. Now, let's proceed to the second program, which is the Capital Access for Young Agripreneurs or KAYA. This program targets the younger generation of Filipinos as future key players in ensuring affordability and availability of food supply. The eligible loan purpose is to finance the capital requirements of their startup or existing farm or fishery business. Under the program, our young agripreneurs may borrow uncollateralized loans up to 500,000 pesos at zero interest payable up to 5 years and a one-time service fee of 3.5%. Now, who are eligible to borrow under this program? We target those who are 18 to 30 years old and graduates of formal or non-formal schooling of any degree. Here are the basic documentary requirements for borrowers of Kaya. You can see that from the screen. Okay. So now, next slide, please. One of our successful Kaya borrower is Jelen Joy Bernardino from San Luis, Pampanga. Instead of working as sales lady in Metro Manila away from her family, she was able to borrow under the program to start her mallard duck business, which earns an average net profit of 1,000 pesos a day. Next slide. Finally, may I present the agri-negosyo or ANYO. ANYO offers zero-interest loans to finance capital requirements of individuals, groups, OFWs, and micro and small enterprises that are engaged in agriculture and fishery projects. Next slide, please. The eligible loan purpose for the program is to finance the working capital requirements for all activities along the supply chain, such as production, processing, and distribution, and acquisition of machinery, equipment, and construction and other facilities. For startup projects, MSEs can borrow up to 1 million pesos, while individuals can borrow up to 300,000 pesos. But for those with existing projects, MSEs may avail themselves of loans up to 15 million pesos. Loans under ANYO have no interest, payable up to 5 years, and a service fee, a one-time service fee of 3.5%. Okay, now under ANYO, we actually have a program for OFWs, actually repatriated OFWs. So we under this window, eligible borrowers may avail of up to 300,000 pesos, which has zero interest, no required collateral, and payable up to 5 years. Interested borrowers must be repatriated or unable to return to the country of employment due to COVID-19. They will have to be registered under the RSBSA and must be in the Philippines at the time of an application. So for those other OFWs or those Filipinos living abroad but are not repatriated OFWs but just want to come home and stay here, come back to the Philippines and engage in our agri-fishery business, you may apply under our other programs that I have mentioned earlier. Okay, so ANYO for OFWs documentary requirements. These are the basic documentary requirements of the program. Only one government-issued ID, proof of our SBSA registration, a simple business plan and letter of intent, and OWA certification that you have been repatriated. Okay. Let me introduce to you Mr. Kerwin Perez. He is a successful ANYO borrower. He is the owner of Exciting Traditions Processed Food Manufacturing, a salted egg business located in San Jose, Batangas. In 2020, they were forced to cease operations due to the ECQ. To cope with the loss in revenues, the company introduced a new product variant to the mass market. Ito po yung hygienically cured salted eggs with a shelf life of 2.5 months, and they were successful. Kaya lang, they could not cope up with the demand because they could only produce 10% of the demand. So they turned to the program and they were able to borrow 2 million pesos to expand their operations. Today, they are able to provide or they're able to supply supermarkets and other outlets, including the Kadiwa ni Ani at Kita markets of the DA. Now we have another ANYO, but this is an OFW, no, repatriated. She used to be an operations executive in a trading and construction company for more than 4 years in Qatar, but unfortunately lost her job due to the pandemic. When she came home, she decided to engage in banana production using the loan from the program as working capital. Next slide, please. Now, we recognize that our OFWs, young agripreneurs, and startup business owners may need capacity building support in order to succeed in their business venture. So as support component to Kaya and Anyo, the ACPC engages state colleges and universities, government agencies such as the Agricultural Training Institute and the DTI and Business Development Services to train and mentor our loan beneficiaries. Now, how can you apply under our programs? Next slide, please. Due to mobility restrictions brought about by the pandemic, we launched the ACPC Access. This is an upgraded version of our online application portal for all current credit programs. Through the ACPC Access, the loan applicants can monitor the status of their application online. It has a self-assessment feature which links applicants to the loan program that is appropriate for his or her eligibility requirements. It also has an appointment feature, which allows the applicants to select preferred schedule for the online program briefing and business planning workshop. Through the said innovation, the applicants will also know which lending conduit shall he or she be endorsed to once complete documentary requirements were submitted. So if you're interested, please visit acpcaccess.ph. Next slide. So these are our contact details if you want to get in touch with us. You may take a photo. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the presentation. In behalf of ACPC, maraming salamat po sa inyong pakikinig.
Thank you, Director Badiola. Just like everybody else, I asked if you're going to be able to send that out also at people's request, right? The PowerPoint?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Director Badiola. Eric, are we okay with the time? It's sort of like it's 4:56. Did
Yes.
you want to, are we okay, Eric?
Yeah, we'll just proceed to the Q&A now.
Okay. Let's go ahead and open up the, let's open up the event to the people that may have questions. So if you have any questions regarding any of the topics that we just opened up or anything from the speakers, please go ahead and type it in the chat box, and we'll go ahead and do our best to go ahead and answer it. And again, all of the speakers are currently on, so they could answer it. So do we have anybody? I can't tell from my section if we have any questions. Do you have any questions, Wayne? Eric?
Yeah, I think I'm curious because some of our kababayans who may be interested in these programs are still in stateside, no, are still in the US. So would they be immediately excluded from this, or are there other programs that they may avail of while they're still here and transitioning to the Philippines?
Okay, I guess there's a question right there, right? Regarding ACPC financing. Did you read that already, Eric?
Oh yeah, it says here regarding ACPC financing or the one with DTI, how long is the turnaround time for the loan grants from the time of application?
Let me answer that. Actually, when the documentary requirements have been submitted, complete submission of all the documentary requirements, it would take about a month to about 4 weeks to grant the loan. Usually, the delay is caused by the applicants because they're not able to submit the requirements on time.
Great. Thank you, Director Badiola. Just wanted to acknowledge some comments from Ellen Sampson. Great, insightful meeting. From Jonathan Patalvera, great event. And also, we just want to make sure that you're fully aware that in the chat box, there is a questionnaire. This helps us out to figure out how to tailor the future events. So if you'd be so kind enough, all of it that's watching, to go into that and fill out that survey, that would be great. Again, we also would like to acknowledge the presence of Consul Ferdinand Flores of Philippine Consulate General, SCR, JP Nigo, PTIC Guangzhou, as well as Merwin Montenegro, Philippine Chamber of Commerce. And also, again, if you have any questions for any of the participants, do so now. And that last question is ACPC financing. That was already answered. If there's any question, what I would like to do, just really quick, is really encourage everyone to read an article in the internet. It's from the World Bank, and this should excite you in what's possible in the Philippines. There was an article in September 9, 2020, and it just says titled "Transforming Philippine Agriculture During COVID-19 and Beyond." Basically, modernizing the country's agriculture is a very important agenda for the Philippines, and this is from the World Bank. So they're very bullish about what's happening in the Philippines in terms of the sector. So to me, if you want to be convinced beyond what we're doing here, is I would suggest everybody to go to the internet, go Google the World Bank and look at the title "Transforming Philippine Agriculture During COVID-19." So I just want to make sure that everybody knew that. Do we have any other questions, Eric? It looks like we don't have any more questions, Eric.
Yeah, most likely the presentations are very informative and straight to the point. But we would send all of those participants here a copy of those presentations after this. And maybe for now, if we can open our videos, if you can, so that we could take a group picture.
Yeah, so everybody just go ahead and open up your cameras so we know exactly who actually attended. Again, I want to, while we're doing all of that, just tell me, just disrupt me or interrupt me, okay, Eric? But I want to go ahead and just acknowledge everyone who attended, the speakers, okay? So first, I want to go ahead and acknowledge the trade commissioners and the consul commercial from the different places, Ben Uy, Celine Layug, Nicanor Bautista, as well as Eric Elnar, of course, and Wang Simbulay, PTIC Los Angeles. Did I miss anybody? Raymond Batak. Ooh, there you go. I don't want to miss out Raymond, who got together and put all these series together. And while we're getting everybody, please stay tuned for future episodes or for other segments of these webinars. In the next webinar that it's being put together for next month, we'll be bringing to you live next month. It will delve into Philippine regional opportunities available in Visayas, Mindanao, and Luzon. So basically, if you're interested in agribusiness, what that's going to do is going to be focused more on those in regional opportunities there, so you can really understand where you can invest your money, or rather where you want to start it. Right, Eric?
Yes. But did someone already take a picture?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay, thanks. Now, there's a question that just came in. Is the ACPC program only available for OFWs? I think I would like to expand this to say, is it also available for maybe returning Filipinos, like retirees?
Yes, sir. Yes, it's available as long as you will be staying here in the Philippines, because our conduits will not be granting loans if you're not physically present here.
So maybe for our kababayans who are still based in the US, this program could be for your kamag-anaks or your loved ones in the Philippines. Let them know about these programs. And yeah, I mean, there's another one here. Would love to promote this information to the chambers and the community. We want our families to learn how to fish, not just wait for the fish.
Yeah,
Thank you, Ed, for that comment.
I wanted to expand on that. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because it's one thing to help the country be successful and also give to the country by sending money. But I think overall, just from my perspective, we need to figure out a way to make these type of investments sustainable. And agribusiness is all definitely sustainable. And hopefully people will continue to research it and understand that there's a lot of potential. So with that being said, Eric, I know we're at the 5 p.m. mark. Do you want to go ahead and continue?
Yeah, I think if there are no other questions, maybe you could segue to the next event, the fourth part of this webinar series.
Yeah, again, as I mentioned earlier, it's a series of webinars that's promoting agribusiness in the Philippines. So in the next one, as far as I was told, next month there will be what we call the regional opportunities. So we're talking about agribusinesses in Visayas, Mindanao, and Luzon. I think those are the three regional opportunities. Correct, Eric?
Yes.
Okay.
So
Now, again, these things are put together because of the need to really fully understand what's at stake in terms of taking the opportunity. Let's go ahead and continue to empower the Philippine farmers and the agribusiness as a whole in regards to that. So the only way you're going to continue to be engaged in it is to really understand. And I think everyone from the PTIC group here in Los Angeles, in the US, have done a great job in trying to make it a no-brainer for everybody who is interested and slightly interested to really understand how to go about doing that. And I think you guys did a great job. So are we going to go ahead and sign off if there's no other questions?
yes, and please don't forget to fill up the short survey form. The link is posted in the chat box. Just click on it and it would lead you to the survey form. It would help us, improve our events and also provide us suggestions for future topics. So again, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us
Thank
today.
you, Eric.
Again, everyone, thank you. This is Ferdinand
Thank you,
Soriano, Planet
Ferdinand.
63. You're ever so grateful moderator. I love being a part of this because obviously it means to everyone an opportunity. So have a great rest of the week, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Ferdy. Good job and congratulations.
Thank you. Glad you were able to make it.
Yep.